Hello everyone. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded. I have been busy with my personal life, but I came here now, taking time from my schedule to share something important. And before I say anything else, I want to make the purpose of this video very clear. I did not create this channel to become a political commentator. I am not here to attack China, Chinese players or media, Enfold, paper games, or anybody who had genuine concerns about the material surrounding Valko. I created this channel because I love video games and I wanted somewhere to speak about them in a way that I know how, through ambiances, soundscapes, and the occasional theory video. And right now, I need to talk about Love in Deepspace, because it is a game that I have made a lot of videos on, and I think it is important that I speak on the matter, especially because this is something that I care about. This video was scripted very carefully in advance. However, do forgive me if I leave something out, if my pronunciation is not perfect. I started playing this game in March 2024, around 2 months after its complete launch. The game officially launched in January 2024, and since then it's grown into one of the largest romance games in the world. Reuters reported earlier this year that it had reached around 18 million users and nearly $1 billion in global revenue. But numbers are not really why I am making this video. I am making it because I did not fully understand how much this game had become part of my life until all of this happened, starting 30th June 2026. This game is something I opened when I was tired, when I needed to relax. It was something ritualistic that I did every single day, something I discussed with my friends, my sister, even my boyfriend. It gave me stories to analyze and characters to write about, to talk about, and a community to participate in. It also made me interested in aspects of Chinese culture that I might never otherwise have encountered. And this is important because Love in Deepspace has worked directly with Chinese cultural organizations and craftspeople. A few examples would be that it introduced global players to Luoyang Palace lanterns through a collaboration guided by Hulaw, Cultural Heritage and Development Center. It has also promoted Chinese paper cutting through a national level intangible cultural heritage collaboration. And it has constantly drawn inspiration from Chinese art, myth, and culture for its stories, cards, amongst various other things. For many international players, this game is one of the only ways modern Chinese creative work reaches us. Through its music, visual design, mythology, festivals, language, architecture, traditional crafts, and storytelling, it makes people curious, and myself especially, because my work directly involves history, literature, and myth. I likely would never have become so entangled in Chinese mythology if it was not for this game. People look these things up and they learn, they translate material, they discuss cultural references with people from other countries. And that matters because this is how cultural exchange happens, and it makes people aware. It is an extraordinary and technical artistic achievement that Love in Deepspace nails every time. I know video games are difficult to make. I know characters, especially like those in Love in Deepspace, don't emerge fully formed from one person's imagination. They require several people, concept artists, writers, programmers, animators, technical artists, composers, voice actors, localization teams, cinematic designers, marketing staff, and countless other people whose names most players will never know. Valko was not 1 or 2 trailers that were created overnight. He had a design, a voice cast across several languages, music, animation, cards, combat content, story material, promotional art, and an intended place to be launched in version 6.0 of the game. The official promotion introduced him as the chairman of Eon Core Tech and the head of a werewolf clan. He was supposed to become the game's 6th, probably final love interest, launching on July 9th, 2026. And then, within days of that actually happening, Infold announced that it was cancelling both his launch and all further development. They also said that no additional love interests would be introduced in future content plans. Now, I want to be careful here. There were criticisms on Valko's promotional material that do deserve to be heard. Maybe more intricate details that the public or fans aren't aware of, and I feel my opinion here matters very little. Some of the Chinese promotional wording criticizing the game, not just Valko, was interpreted as making light of violence against women or real historical and criminal tragedies. Now, those are serious subjects, and they should not be dismissed simply because we like a fictional character, and I do think that they should definitely be investigated. A commentary was recently published by the Ministry of Public Security News Media Center, specifically criticizing the way the balcony scene in one of his promotional trailers was presented, even if the context was lost due to it being a trailer and it being misinterpreted. Now, I am not arguing that games should be immune to criticism. I'm not saying that every line, scene, or piece of promotional material should be preserved exactly as it is. In fact, I'm all for reviewing material that may have been harmfully presented to the public to be revised and presented in a manner that showcases that the main character was not being harmed by Valko. In my humble opinion, however, I fear much of Valko's material is under scrutiny because it is being taken out of context of the game and his character, especially when we don't know the full story behind a couple of scenes or dialogues, as they only exist in trailers that are a few minutes long. And when seen together within the trailer, with voice and music, appears quite harmless and just showcases a playful relationship between MC and Valko. However, again, this is just what I think. If localization or marketing fail to communicate the intended story in a responsible manner, they must investigate how that happened and correct it. But revision is different from complete erasure. Cancelling an entire character, his story, future development, and place within the game is, I think, an enormous response. It affects the artists who created him, the actors who have performed him, and the players who had already connected with him before he launched and spent money and were anticipating him to, acquire his material in-game upon release. Valko had barely been allowed to exist publicly before people were told that he was just gone. Many of us, well, all of us, never had the opportunity to experience his complete story. We could not judge his character development, his relationship with the MC, or his actual role in the wider narrative of the game. We were left with fragments, promotional material, and the knowledge that a huge amount of completed work that has probably been in development for years might never be seen. And despite some portrayals of this controversy, the reaction to his cancellation is not just a few people screaming online. Some examples are 2 petitions, when combined together, pass over 300,000 signatures. Valko supporters also organized real charitable work. The Wolf Conservation Center reported that the Love and Deepspace community raised more than $7,000 for wolf conservation, and the completed campaign page records more than $9,000 from hundreds of supporters. People turned their grief over a fictional wolf character into help for real wolves. When devastating floods struck Guangxi as this controversy was taking place, Valko's fans in China organized donations in Valko's name, not to a fictional character, as some misleading headlines suggested, but directly for flood relief and the people affected by the disaster. By July 7th, more than 300,000 yuan, which is around $44,600 had been donated, with the funds directed towards rescue and relief work in Guangxi. Whatever people think of Valko or the controversy surrounding him, this deserves to be acknowledged. This is a character who was never even allowed to enter the game, and it inspired thousands of people to come together and provide real assistance to strangers in need. His fans chose to answer anger with compassion, proving that their love for him had a genuine positive impact beyond the game. This is important, and it requires reporting, as there are also endeavors aside from this that fans have organized to spread love for Valko and their appreciation of the game's home country. Personally, I am currently boycotting the game. I have not logged in for around 10 days at this point. I did not download the new update that came on 9th July. And that is painful for me, because I do not want Love in Deepspace to fail. I want the opposite. I think we all do, even though we are angry. I want this game to survive. I want its developers and artists to keep creating. I want its existing characters to receive beautiful stories. And I want the game to keep sharing Chinese creativity with the rest of the world. But I can't return and behave as if nothing happened. The magic that this game held for me has slowly disappeared over the last week, and I cannot look at it the same as I did before. I cannot imagine logging into the game and not thinking about what could have been, not thinking about Valko. I cannot invest emotionally and financially in a world when a completed character can be announced, loved, erased, and then barely acknowledged. And I want to point this out very clearly. My boycott is not an act of hatred towards Infold. It is the only meaningful way I have to communicate that this decision has damaged my trust. What I want now from Infold is not just reckless defiance to behave as if Valko never existed and move on, and neither am I asking them to ignore criticism or release contested material unchanged while the situation is very heated. We do not know the full story. We don't know what they are going through, and I am in no place to judge authorities or a billion-dollar corporation that has more on its plate than I can even begin to fathom. I am asking, as a player, for them to choose revision over destruction. I want them to take their time, take a step back, resolve whatever needs to be resolved, revise, consult appropriate people, allow time to heal, for the controversy to settle, ensure that the material meets legal, ethical, and cultural standards without risking quality and immersion, and then bring him back. It would tell hundreds of thousands of players that their love was heard and that the work already created for Valko is not simply being thrown away. Because regardless of what is actually happening, we deserve to be heard, especially when this game has been so close to so many of our hearts for a long time, and even those who wanted to play it for Valko to begin with. Infold's recent statement regarding their confirmed absence from Bilibili World 2026 says that the company will conduct staff training, internal review, and self-correction with respect for history, national sentiment, and Chinese culture as guiding standards. If a serious review is already happening, then postponement is a reasonable solution. Review him. Rewrite parts of his story that are politically controversial. Give his story the care that the company itself admitted it failed to provide. Then let him come home when the situation is calmer and the work is ready. I do not expect everyone watching this video to love or even like Valko. You may dislike his appearance, you may not want another love interest, you may believe the existing 5 characters deserve all future resources, and that is your right. However, I do want to explain to you that the removal of this one integral character that has been probably in development since the game's inception will alter the story for all existing love interests, the main character, as well as the side characters. The game without Valko will remain incomplete, broken, and patched up like duct tape on a leaking ceiling. A player not personally wanting a character should not mean that nobody else is allowed to have him. A growing fictional world should be capable of holding different stories and different kinds of players. And I'm speaking today because I love Love in Deepspace. I love what it has been, and I still believe in what it could become. I want to return to Lincoln City without feeling that I betrayed something important to me. I want to support this game again. But first, all of us need honesty and communication. We all need in full to understand that Valko was loved before he was ever given the chance to live. I am asking them to reconsider their permanent cancellation. I understand that we do not know the full story, and we likely never will. But as fans, we have the right to ask for what was promised to us. Please, take your time, but I plead with you, do not erase him. And to the people who are still waiting for him, please remain firm and remain kind. One of my favorite quotes will always be, "An eye for an eye and the world goes blind." This game's foundation is love, and it is our love for Valko and for the characters that exist within this world that brought us all here in the first place. Please never forget that. Don't harass other players, do not attack Chinese people, do not insult the existing love interests, their fans, the developers, or anybody who raised concerns in good faith. We're all humans, and at the end of the day, we are all different shades of grey. You can choose to be brighter. Our argument is simple. Criticism can lead to better art. It should not automatically lead to the destruction of it. I'll leave the relevant articles, petitions, hashtags, and additional information below this video, including more about Love in Deepspace's role in Chinese cultural exchange and the good that this fandom has done in Valko's name. If I've missed anything important, please feel free to add it in the comments. I shall leave you now, but I will continue this fight, as I hope you all will too. I believe in all of you. Please take care of yourselves, and good hunting.